guys? Welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to do the final update to a very popular video I did over a couple weeks, which is titled, "My fiancée left me for my uncle, now she's begging me to take her back after he cheated." And as a quick recap, that was all about a guy, I guess is about 32 years old now, early 30s, and he shared his story about how he had this girlfriend for years, and it sounded like he was going to get married to her, at least he thought he was, and to be perfectly honest, she was a giant pain in the butt the entire time of their relationship. And but yet he was a nice guy with her and pretty much caved all the time, and she walked all over him. And then one day, he found out that she was cheating on him with his rich uncle, okay? And ultimately left him for his uncle. Fortunately, this guy just took off, started his life over, and then eventually she came back later on in time crying and carrying on, begging him to take her back because his uncle, who she ended up marrying, I might add, got some other young gal, even younger than her, pregnant, and it's a whole big mess. And this guy, no way, had nothing to do with her. End of story. Part 2 was more about what was going on in the background and all that, and her, and the situation with his uncle. Apparently, what I put together, he lives in somewhere in Southeast Asia, I think, and uncle is very wealthy, but he got into a lot of trouble with, I guess, embezzlement or some damn thing, and it's a big mess in his life. And he also talked about how his cousins, his whole family, pretty much kisses up to the uncle because he's wealthy and they all mooch off him, not this guy. And then there are more details about the girl and all that. Now, this is a final update, responding to lots of questions that people had about his uncle, the girl, what happened with her, the whole 9 yards for you guys that were interested in this particular story here. So I will continue on. He says, hello, once again, SSM. Again, thank you for sharing my story on your channel. Writing to you has been therapeutic, and seeing everyone's opinion in the comment section helped me get through this confusing time. Bro, I'm so happy that it could help. That's what we're here for. I met up with some of my cousins, and it was great reconnecting with them. Most of them have been financially free from my uncle for some time, while the rest are about to cut off my uncle once they are finished with school. Also, this update is very drama-filled, as most of this info came from my female cousins who are in the know of the situation. Imagine that. Drama-filled from information that came from your female cousins. I never would have guessed such a thing. Women like drama? That is the first time I've heard that women like drama. Imagine that. I hope you can pick up my sarcasm here. Also, the jig is up. 90% of the commentators from the last video have correctly guessed where I'm from. I didn't know it was that obvious until I realized there are only 2 places in the world where divorce is illegal. I'd still prefer if you did not directly say the name of the country for privacy reasons. Bro, I don't think there are a lot of people who live in your country. I don't think if I said what country it is, people are going to connect the dots who you are. However, no problem. I respect everybody's wishes that write to me, so no problem. The thing about my uncle that I did not share is that he was a very controlling person. He never took no as an answer and would always throw money at problems to make it go away. I believe I was the first person to ever fully walk away from my uncle, and that probably opened his eyes to some of my cousins to do the same thing. Anyway, on to the second update. My uncle is getting sued and is trying to use Sam as a scapegoat. Sam is his ex-girlfriend who hooked up with the uncle and married him. I really don't know the details in this, but this was the main reason why Sam contacted me in the first place. How did I know all this? I had to talk with my uncle's eldest daughter, Kate, who's also against him. And she basically gave me the full story when I had to meet up with my cousins. Now, most of my cousins who are against my uncle are women, and they just couldn't help but gossip about everything that has happened so far. Imagine that. Gossiping girls. They did ask me if it was okay to talk about Sam and my uncle, to which I obliged since this whole mess did pique my interest and to give me some kind of closure. Also, I took one of your commentators' advice in the last video saying that I shouldn't feel bad for Sam instead to enjoy the karma that she's receiving. You're damn right. I've been saying that all along. But I guess you got to hear other people say it. After the way she treated you, how she treated you when you guys were together, and then leaving you for him and all that, I said flat out, she's a strong, empowered woman. She made her bed and she lied in it, literally, and now she can deal with it. It's not your problem. And I know you know this, but gotta make that clear. We don't need any heroes here or white knights. You tried being the nice guy. You tried being the hero and white knight with her because of her background, and look where that got you, right? So according to Kate, my uncle has been a mess ever since his embezzlement case and has since been burning money. His fortune is slowly dwindling due to the multiple cases filed against him, and his connections have cut all contact with him ever since he was found out. So his political connections cut him off. Imagine that. So he's been trying to use Sam as a scapegoat of sorts for at least 2 of the main cases. Sam has, of course, refused, but she kind of has no choice here. There's too much evidence that incriminate her since she worked closely with my uncle and his businesses. Did Sam have any idea about the corruption? I'm pretty sure she did, but even if she didn't, she's screwed either way as my uncle is trying to frame her depositing money into international accounts. Man, this guy is a lowlife. Also, the rest of the family now knows I'm in contact with some of my cousins. Most of them don't really care as they all aligned with my uncle, but some gave me their half-assed apologies. The person who really reacted the most was Sam. She had contacted Kate and Steph to demand them to connect with me. She's desperate to get in contact and have proper conversation with me for some reason. And he says in parentheses, I'm hoping if I could get your take on this, SSM. Why is she still obsessed with me other than me walking away? She's obsessed with you because for all those years, you gave her everything she wanted. And her perception of you is that you're that nice guy that she can get her way with and will never change. That's what it is. So she can't fathom that you actually have changed and walked away and bettered yourself and you've moved on without her. That's the issue. She still is holding on to hope because right now her life is a mess and this is her fault. So the only thing that's keeping her going is hope. Hope that, she could somehow get you to take her back, change your mind, whatever, and get her out of this mess. But obviously that's not happening. That's why she won't give up. Kate was sympathetic, but to put her foot down, telling Sam that she shouldn't dwell on the past any longer and to just live with the consequences of her actions. Yeah, good luck with that one. Sam then dramatically argued with them that she couldn't, that it was impossible for her to face the consequences, and she needed in giant letters, me to forgive her as she saw me as her true family. Oh, now you're her true family when her current family, the guy she married, your uncle, everything's going to hell in a handbasket. Now you're her true love and true family. You were there for her in every which possible way, and she completely threw you away like a piece of garbage. She's now garbage to you. She makes her bed and she lies in it. Accountability. Steph then gave me some more insights to what was going on in Sam's head. Nobody knows what's going on in her head. Steph, God bless her, has tried to talk Sam out of her obsessive state, and it was just making my uncle angry at her, even though he was the one who got a 17-year-old pregnant. And because there was no way I would ever forgive her. Nonetheless, Steph was willing to hear Sam out, so they talked about her needs. So just a bit of warning, SSM, this part of the update will be very contradictory, hypocritical, and cringe-inducing, since I will give a summary of Sam's views, me and her mental state right now, so be warned, but also feel free to pick apart her statements. Okay, here we go. According to Steph, his cousin, Sam was always expecting me to forgive her. In her mind, I would move on from her and find someone else, then I would come back to her and be friends again. In other words, she thought that you were always going to be this nice guy who she could always get no matter how bad she treated you. The main reason why she married my uncle was, drumroll, his money. Big shocker. And charisma, the 2 things I had, in her words, lacked. However, once my uncle showed his true colors to her and started to act hostile towards her, she immediately wanted to go back to me. She desperately missed her old life, and slowly my uncle was taking away her rights. He would set a 7 p.m. curfew for her, and he would just belittle or mock her until she was in tears every time she brought up equal rights. You were great to her. You were too great to her, and I made that clear in the other videos. I don't need to rehash that, but you all know that. So no, too freaking bad. Sam had told Steph that she wanted to have an affair with me so that we could both get revenge on my uncle. Sam realized that she married a monster who was slowly ruining her life, and she was expecting me to arrive and take her back to save her. No white knighting going on anymore with this dude. She would pester my cousins to reveal my location, but none of them knew where I went. And that was good they didn't know, man. She would openly talk bad about my uncle to our cousins and even claimed he was horrible in bed and how he couldn't compare to me. She knew where to strike that dagger. This caused my uncle to become jealous of me, even though I had never spoken a word to him for the last couple of years. She actually found out where I lived back in 2019, but wouldn't approach me due to her expecting me to come to her. She expected you to be the old nice guy that you were in the past. So instead, she would send me love letters to entice me to have an affair with her. This would be her downfall, as my uncle would find one of these letters addressed to me, and well, life got even worse for Sam. House arrest, getting fired from her job, and an abundance of other things stem from my uncle finding a love letter. Steph even theorized that my uncle only slept with a 17-year-old as a effed up way to retaliate against Sam by cheating first. Then the embezzlement scandal happened and it all went to shit. Dude, you need to have nothing to do with these people. There is a whirlwind of shit. Okay? You're off on your own, doing your own thing, doing well in your career. I know you told me in the finance industry, which I think is awesome. Making your own way, not relying on your uncle for anything. You're your own man. That's awesome. Stay away from this family. Honest to God. This is like a freaking soap opera. Now my uncle is pleading for Sam to take the fall. When she refused, he got, of course, very mad and violent. He never hit her, but he would break her belongings and the things around her. Sam was scared, and in a moment of weakness, she made a recording confessing that she was the one liable for the embezzlement, thus clearing my uncle's name. How about duress? Even as Sam disproves the tape, that there was also a mountain of evidence that could point to her. That being, she was in a position to take money from the political candidates, donation, funding, and other third-party businesses for vaccines. I guess this broke Sam, and she ran off to my work location, and well, the events of the first story happened. Now Sam can't understand why I can't take her back. She's been crying her eyes out since I had betrayed her for giving her back to my uncle. How about her betraying you? How about her stomping on your heart? Not to mention how badly she treated you all those years before all this went down. You know, you look back on things in life, guys, and you can see you have a bad situation, and then years later you look back and say, you know what? That was a bad situation, but it's a damn good thing it happened, because otherwise this, and this. So, yeah, it was horrible at the time that she was hooking up with this guy's uncle and everything like that, and he was heartbroken, but he got her out of his life, because she was a complete a-hole to him prior to that. And don't get me wrong, he allowed it. We're being honest here. But this guy's learned and has moved on since and has grown very much as a man, which is awesome. Steph tried to say that she had betrayed me as well, but Sam just said that I had no right to be mad at her if I had never given her a chance at least to apologize. Sam is literally doing mental gymnastics to shift the blame away from her, instead blaming my uncle for seducing her and cheating on her, and blaming me for never giving her the chance to apologize or giving her a chance to make it up to me. You gotta tell your cousins, dude. Don't talk to her anymore. She said her piece, done. Steph said there's no way that she could convince Sam to let go of the idea of us getting back together, because in doing that, she would need to take responsibility for the pain that she caused me and realize that she's the one who partly pushed my uncle to do some of the horrible things that he's done. But I guess I should have seen it coming from her, as she had really bad mental issues back then. Then, in the whole constant blaming and fantasizing about life with me is just Sam's coping method. Her life begins to freefall out of control. Like I said, that's her hope. You're her final hope. That ain't happening. So, so she refused to hear anything that says that her last hope in getting out of this shit that she's dug herself into, this grave she's dug herself into, is toast. Steph, Kate, and my other cousins just talked about how crazy and deranged her views were, and assured me that as long as they were there, that I would never have to speak with that crazy woman ever again. I wouldn't hold your breath. We then went on to talk about our lives, the past few years, and caught up. It was good to speak to family again, and we promised to meet up again, maybe in a couple of weeks, when everybody isn't so busy, and promised that Sam wouldn't be the main talking point. Yeah, sure, until Sam does more crazy stuff and they can't help themselves. These are women, dude. They're going to have to gossip. They're going to have to get it out in the open. Trust me, it ain't over. But maybe what you need to do is draw a line in the sand and say, okay, I don't want to hear anything else about her again. And mean it. Because they're going to test you. You got to mean it. It doesn't make a difference whether it's women you're dealing with romantically, friends, or family members. You got to be the strong one, the man in the situation. You draw a line in the sand and don't cross this line. The line, what's this thing? Thou you shall not pass. That type of thing. So far, I haven't seen anything from Sam, and even if she did send me something, it's just going into the trash. I fully moved past her, and I'm working on myself now. Good. So I guess after knowing everything, I can begin to understand why she contacted me. It was out of desperation that I'd take her back. The only thing I can't understand is why she's still fixated on me specifically forgiving her and getting back with her. Because you're her last hope, that's why. It has been years since the incident. I know women chase men who walk away, but it's been literally years and she still is on my case. Is it really just because I walked away? Is it because her life is dog crap and she sees life with me as some sort of paradise? Or do you think there's more to SSM? I'd like to hear your opinions on it. Thanks. Okay, well, given this is the final part of this story, and before this guy moves on, it's a bunch of things. Yes, one, you walked away. Drives them crazy. And they will come back down the road. For all you guys, I tell you, most powerful thing you can do to a gal is walk away. When she's treating you like crap, when you break up with her, or she's starting a bunch of drama in public or something, you walk away. Shh, out of there. Drives them crazy because most guys will just stay and fight and all that crap. No, you walk away. So one part is you walked away. The other part is her life is shit, obviously. You are her last hope because in her mind, because you were that nice guy, that white knight type for so long, that is her perception of who you are. It's impossible for her to believe that you're any different because most people don't change. Most people, like most guys, they're the same way their whole lives. They don't have a moment or moments that make them realize, I got to change, and they stop going back to who they are. Very few guys are able to do that. Hopefully a lot of guys that watch my channel made mistakes in their past and learned from it and no longer act like they were in the past. And I think a lot of guys have. Like you. So she's desperate. You're her last hope. And the idea that hope ain't going to happen, that can't go on in her head. She can't deal with that. Therefore, she keeps trying and trying and trying and trying and bringing you up to the cousins. Desperate attempts for that hope. But it ain't happening. So that's what's going on here. So walking away, the fact that she has no hope. And again, she, in her mind, you're the same guy you always were, which you're not. So, bro, don't you dare go back to being that guy ever again. I don't think you will. But you, at this point, this is ridiculous. Okay, I know this is good therapy for you, and you need to get that out. But from this point on, no more with your ex. Okay, you've moved on. You're doing well for yourself financially. You're your own freaking man. Focus on your career. Focus on your purpose. Things in your life. Have a connection with the family members that are good to you. And tell them I don't want to talk about her anymore. Okay, we've done this whole thing. No more with the ex, okay? Especially to your female cousins because they're going to be dying to gossip. And by the way, guys, notice this story is coming from what I believe Southeast Asia or somewhere in that region. Notice how women are behaving exactly as they do here in the West. The gossiping and all the other stuff, and not to mention how his ex is acting. This goes to show you when I share these stories, it doesn't make a difference what part of the world you're in. It doesn't make a difference what your religion is, your culture, your education, your wealth, whatever it is. Men respond to what they respond to. Women respond to what they respond to. The human beings are all the same around the world. Just like cats, right? Domestic house cats have the mannerisms and traits that a freaking tiger or lion have out in the wild in Africa or in India. It's our species. So what I talk about here is important and relative to dudes all over the world. And this is why I got people following me all over the world, which is awesome. So, bro, great story. Been entertaining. I wish you all the best. We all wish you the best. But cut this girl off, and whatever happens to her, it happens to her. It's not your problem. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let this guy know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.